Welcome back to Power and Politics. I am Tom Eschen. Elise Stefanik announcing her gubernatorial campaign on Friday morning. We have analysis and reaction to that, and we'll start with New York State Assemblyman Republican Chris Tague. How does Elise Stefanik break through to people like that outside of her district, outside of places like places like upstate and rural New York?
Well, I think it's very easy. She's a worker, just like Lee Zeldin did. You know, people told Lee Zeldin in the political circles that if he got 30% of the vote or more in New York City, he wins the election. New York City's not the problem. It's actually upstate New York. When we continue to underperform in upstate New York, it's bad for our statewide candidates. We got to get our act together as Republicans and conservatives in upstate New York. And I think we will. But that's really what we have to do. But listen, I've known Elise since she ran for Congress back in 2014. And I'm going to tell you what, there's no better person that can connect with people than her. People need to listen to her. People need to pay attention. Like I said, the Democrats keep talking about an affordability issue. They created the affordability issue. Who are they trying to kid? They keep, in the last couple of months, affordability. They created it with poor policies in Albany. Very bad, ill-advised policy. They created the affordability policy. Now, Elise Stefanik and Republicans, we're going to fix it.
Are you concerned at all about how Tuesday went? Because you did see, because I saw this a bit online today of people saying, well, you just saw Republicans lose in Virginia and New Jersey, and New Jersey was projected to be much closer than it was. Is that at all on your mind, the timing of all of this and the way the country went on, at least those states went on Tuesday, I should say?
I don't think so, because I think you got to look back when Lee Zeldin ran for governor and the local elections right prior to the year that he ran for governor, we had poor turnout. And if you look at history, the off local years, their turnout is usually poor. But as I say, in my home county of Schoharie County, we had 48% Republican turnout on a non-election year with many, many unopposed races. I was actually very happy with the turnout in Schoharie County. Conservatives and Republicans actually did come out and vote in my county. Problem is, again, like I said, many unopposed places, but the Democrats were at between 22 and 26%. So, you know, it's a wash. But I'm telling you right now, people are fed up in this state. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, independent, liberal, conservative. You care about the safety and security of your communities. You care about affordability. Okay, and you care about whether your taxes keep getting raised or not, and you care about whether or not your state government is being held accountable. The last many, many years, that has not been happening. I'm telling you, because I know her well, Elise Stefanik, as the next governor of the state of New York, all these problems will be dealt with, and they will be dealt with swiftly and very quickly.
All right, Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's first start with the Elise Stefanik announcement that she's running for governor. Your initial reaction to that?
Well, we saw it coming. You know, this is not really anything new. At the end of the day, this is somebody who I actually served with back in Congress before she sold her soul in defense of Trump. And so I have a personal view on how she has basically put herself in a position in pursuit of power at the expense of the very people who gave her the power in the first place. And we saw it coming, and here we are.
What do you think of the way she sort of has been painting New York? And she's used, affordability, as you know, says it's too expensive to live here. People are leaving the state. That is something that you have spoken about. We've heard obviously Governor Hochul speak about that too. But what do you think of the way she is presenting the state as it currently stands, in particular today?
Her rhetoric is empty. It's hollow at the core. There's nothing to it. I think she may have just stumbled upon the word affordable. So, you know, at the end of the day, she's going to say what is convenient, just like she decided that it was convenient for her to settle up along Trump when she thought it might help her, despite the fact that she had a career prior to doing this that one could have argued was a lot more reasonable. So she made the decision, a very calculated, cold-hearted political decision to pursue power and advance by hitching her wagon to somebody who's morally bankrupt.
Yeah, you speak to the timing of this, and it does come after a Tuesday in which you saw races, gubernatorial races in New Jersey and Virginia won by Democrats. That New Jersey one was projected to be a lot closer than it actually was. I think some people are a little interested to see why Elise Stefanik would be so encouraged to run now, even without pushing it back another month. You know what I'm saying? After
Absolutely.
that national context going on.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
Clearly, Democrats had a good night on Tuesday, so you would think it would be a little odd at one level. But on the other hand, in New York, you have Governor Hochul, whose approval ratings are not strong. You have a split in the Democratic Party between the pragmatic, experienced, older generation and the new faces. And so we saw that in a lot of places in the state, but definitely in the New York City Mayoralty, where Cuomo gets beaten by Mamdani, who comes out of nowhere and takes it. And then because he's somewhat controversial in the rest of the state and nationally, but Hochul needed, obviously, to endorse the mayor of Democratic candidate for mayor in New York City. So now where's this leave us today? Well, it leaves us with a very odd situation. So you have Hochul, who faces a primary challenge, which will be from the more progressive side, having endorsed Mamdani and having Mamdani get lots of attention for what he did and who he is as a Democratic Socialist. And then you've got Donald Trump, who looms large in the overall picture. And for the Stefanik campaign, clearly Trump is a factor. So it's almost like it may end up Hochul versus Stefanik, but it may really be Mamdani versus Trump in the end. So, you've got an odd pairing here. And certainly, that's always happens in New York. It's bigger than life. And we're there again, and it looks like we're heading for that. Odd situation, odd pairing, but the polarization that we see nationally is likely to play out in New York State. And having said that, I think it's important to point out that Democrats, of course, have a huge registration advantage. New York is one of the bluest of the blue states. And I think, if this Tuesday was any indication, all things being the same, next year could be, in fact, a pretty strong Democratic year. So Stefanik faces an uphill fight, but she has factors in her favor that are a little bit unusual in that the incumbent is not necessarily strong, and that being, of course, Governor Hochul.
You can watch or listen to the full versions of those conversations right now on our website, cbs6albany.com, or as a podcast on our Power and Politics podcast page. That's all the time we have, though, for today. We'll see you next time.